And now for something completely different.
Are you ready for a little truth? Are we not entertained? Wisdom is the proper use of knowledge and experience. There are no safe spaces here. The truth shall make you free. It's showtime! So you want the truth, but can you handle the truth? Well, here's another fine mess you've gotten us into. Now that's entertainment. Enlighten me a little. What you say is quite logical. And what did we learn? Prepare yourself for a little sensory overload. I came here for the truth. 47 years ago, stand by the roll show intro. Roll show intro in 3, 2, 1, go.
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.
Hello, America, family, friends, and listeners all around this planet we call home. This is the Craig L. Hayes Show, and I am Craig L. Hayes. Today's date, July 18th, 2024. And we're going to go and talk a little bit about the things we have come to find out in the last, 5 days, 6 days since the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. And to do so, we're going to go back in time a little bit. How about a couple weeks? Let's go back a couple weeks to really discover some of the things that were going on and how things could happen the way they did. Let's talk about this. As I listen to more and more newscasts and people coming out and talking about this stuff and what some Congress people have been investigating, trying to find out for themselves and then telling the public. Apparently, 2 weeks ago, Iran, under the fascist Nazi Islamic regime there, decided that they want to take and try to kill Donald Trump. They call it in retaliation for killing that terrorist leader Soleimani, that Trump dropped a 250-pound Hellfire missile on top of and blew him to smithereens. It was well deserved, and he got the punishment he should have had. But the real reason, I think, that Iran has said they want to have an assassination attempt on the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is because they know that Donald Trump is going to bankrupt them. Remember, Donald Trump had bankrupted Iran. They were ready to collapse. The economy was about to collapse. The people were getting ready to uprise and throw out the Islamic Nazis that they had in power. Islamo-Nazis, however you want to say it. They were so close to doing this. And then what happened? Oh, yeah. President Dimwit was put in office, took off all those sanctions, unfroze assets, and gave him $100 billion. Iran is a state sponsor of terrorism. They sponsor Hamas in the Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon and East Israel. Some people call it the West Bank. It's not the West Bank, it's East Israel. So now they have $100 billion, boosted up their economy, opened up, and the spigots are still on because now they can sell their oil. Thank you, Barack Obama, for telling the idiot in the White House to be nice to Iran, when it should have been a full court press pushed on Iran until they did collapse and become, a sensible, civilized nation in the world. So right now they have a hit list or a hit out on President Trump. It was a credible threat. Secret Service, everybody knew about this. And yet, a heightened sense of security at his last rally wasn't in place. In fact, They try to, when I say they, I mean the Secret Service, what's her name, Kim Cheadle, decided to come out and say the reason that guy was on top of that roof was because of the police department. The police department in that city has a total of 22 employees. Total. They were in charge of traffic control. They weren't in charge of anti-terrorism. They weren't in charge of taking out terrorists. That wasn't their job. That's what they were there for. They were in charge of traffic. So we're getting a red flag on that. So anyways, let's go right to this point. We're going to blame Iran, but not, we know Iran is actually going to go and try to do something against Donald Trump because they do not want him in there. They know he is going to shut down the spigots. He is going to end their money supply. He is going to collapse their economy and drive them out. And after that happens and they have a civilized representative government, they can be welcomed into the world with open arms. But maybe a little bit of trust, but verify that they've actually decided to become a civilized nation. So we know that Kim Cheadle had this information and didn't do anything about it, and didn't do a thing to beef up the security there at the rally. Not only did she not do anything about it, they saw this young man, 20 years old, scoping the place out with rangefinders, looking through the crowd, trying to find a place to go, etc., etc. And they had him on their list for over an hour. Over an hour. And they never confronted him. They saw that he was acting strange. They saw that he was doing something out of the ordinary, and they did nothing. Why? The why is going to be the biggest question out there. And when we find out, heads should roll. So, when you have a terrorist threat from a terrorist nation that's going to try to assassinate a president, and remember, you do that to a sitting president or a former president of this nation, the dogs of war are supposed to be released on that nation. If Iran actually had done an execution or assassination on Donald Trump, a president who actually cared about this country would have told the military, wipe Iran off the world's map. I have no confidence this president would do that, because probably Barack Obama would sit there and say, well, that's just being Islamophobic, and you can't do that to, such a great nation as Iran. And he wouldn't have done it. That would have told every nation in the world, hey, come on over and take out all of the presidents of our nation, because dipwad there in the White House isn't going to do a thing about it. They have no respect. They have no fear of Joe Biden. They did of Donald Trump. So anyways, this young man is able to get up there. They see him up there. He was pointed out to the police. They did absolutely nothing about it. And he was able to get between 6 and 8 shots off. 3 of them just barely missing. Well, one hitting President Trump in the ear, and the other 2 going right past him before he was shot dead and shut up, so he couldn't be taken prisoner and questioned. Last thing they wanted was someone to answer questions. So anyhow, let's look at why something this would happen, and I believe there's a conspiracy going on that allowed this. But let's take this back to why this is allowed and why this could happen. And I take it directly back to the President of the United States, Joe Biden. For the last how long has Joe Biden been demeaning and dehumanizing us Republicans libertarians or whatever you want to call us, who are MAGA, who want to make America great again, because that's a horrible thing that we'd want to make America great again, and calling us a bunch of Nazis, and calling the leader of this movement, Donald Trump, Hitler, over and over and over again. Why would you do that? Why would you say that? Why would anyone do anything like that? It is simple. To make somebody want to harm, kill, or any other thing, you dehumanize them if you're in control and in power. This is right out of the playbook of Lenin, Stalin, Mao, Castro, Pol Pot, any other dictator that's been out there. Dehumanize your opponents, dehumanize anyone who stands against you or who you think might, so it's easier to get them out of your way, meaning put them in prison, a gulag, or kill them. This is what Joe Biden has been doing, because Joe Biden is a street thug and a disgusting politician, and he's been that way for 50 years. He's nothing different than he was 50 years ago. He is a nasty old man that wants power. So, how could this young man do these things and get away with what he got away with up until the point he started shooting, and then they silenced him by shooting him? Okay, so you have someone like a Joe Biden and the entire Democratic Party saying anyone who doesn't agree with them is basically, they're fascists, they're Nazis, and the leader of that movement is Hitler. You know, Hitler always gets the worst rap out of all those people I mentioned, and he's the one that killed the least. Amazing on that part. But he is an evil person, and so I get the context they're putting that in. You can't keep telling people that if Donald Trump gets in there, that the people in this country will be arrested, and reporters will be arrested, and people will lose their rights, and they won't be able to have free speech, and they won't be able to do what they want and have their rights. All the while, you're out there conspiring with social media companies and big tech to silence your opponents. See, they always say that we are going to do something that they're actually doing at the time. That's how disgusting they are. They're liars. They're power hungry. They're sociopaths. That's what they are. That's who they are. So, the amazing thing about this is we're going to get to the bottom of it. Hopefully sooner than later. Hopefully the Senate and the House get everybody involved in this assassination attempt, the conspiracy to kill Donald Trump, together and start doing it. And everyone, I mean Joe Biden, Jill Biden, Hunter Biden, Kojak Mayorkas, and Kim Cheadle. They all need to be in front of Congress and have a microscope put on them and find out everything that was going on, because this should never have happened. And if the people did their job correctly, Secret Service and that, this never would have happened. So something along the way changed to allow this. This was allowed by Secret Service. This was allowed by the highest forms of government up there. And personally, I think it was put in place by Biden, by what he says. Jill Biden, because she's the best buddies with Kim Cheadle. And Mayorkas, who I don't think he even knows what planet he's on either, and he thinks he's doing a great job, and he's basically doing a disgustingly terrible job. But he keeps on going and going and going, and no one seems to care. So anyhow, this type of activity should not be allowed. Everybody who was a sniper, sniper for the Secret Service, if I had my way, you're all fired. You're all fired. And then I want, if I'm president, to put together a new SEAL team. a new Delta Force team, a new Special Ranger Force team. And you know what they're going to do? Presidential protection. They're going to be in charge of sniping and securing buildings because they know how to do it. They know how to secure a building, and they know how to get the high ground. They know how to watch everything that's going on and take out the enemy. Obviously, Secret Service has been compromised by somebody. The people in Secret Service have been compromised. It's not just a conspiracy talk right now. This should have never happened, and the only way it could have happened is if people are compromised and people are being allowed to do these things. I don't have a network, television network or cable network, news organization to help put this together, but I hope somebody out there, Fox, Newsmax, someone really starts digging, putting the heat on, and I hope these senators and Congress people just go after this Kim Cheadle with everything they have and get Mayorkas in there and grill him into the ground and start firing people. People need to be fired. And we need to rehire people who are there to protect the president, regardless which party they're in, regardless if they're a candidate and they don't like what they're saying, but they're there to do the job they're supposed to do, protect and serve the president, his family, vice president, Speaker of the House, and candidates that are running against them. Are we not to believe that maybe the Secret Service has now been weaponized also against Donald Trump? We've watched the Justice Department, without even a blink of an eye, with Merrick Garland, weaponizing the Justice Department against Donald Trump, with no crime having been committed. We've watched the FBI be ordered in there, guns drawn into Mar-a-Lago, guns drawn on a former president's residency to go retrieve some records. That is astounding. That tells you the extent of the compromised people that are in the FBI, that would even be thought of or allowed, or that a judge would even sign off. See, it's corrupt, people. This is corrupt. They are corrupt in the judiciary. They're corrupt in the administrative. So many branches here are just disgustingly compromised and corrupt. How do we stop it? Well, the best way is come November, get that man who was tried to be assassinated into that White House and have him start firing everybody. Fire everyone in those organizations. Start it all over again. And then make sure Congress limits the scope and power and authority of any of these agencies on what they can and can't do. And if they violate it, then those people need to be criminally prosecuted. Not just fired, criminally prosecuted. I would grab every one of those guys that were on the snipers to take out any threats from the Secret Service, and I'd arrest every one of them. And, well, maybe not arrest them. I'd collect them all up and separate them, start doing an interview, and I'd dive into them. I'd dive into their bank accounts. I'd dive into their beliefs. I'd dive into everything until I found out if they were just doing it because someone above them said, look the other way for just a few seconds and then take the guy out. I don't trust the FBI's findings. The FBI is nothing more than the Gestapo for the Democrat Party. That's all they've proven to be against this man, against Donald Trump. I don't trust them as far as we could throw them. I don't trust the CIA for starting all the crap they do all around the world. I don't trust anybody within this administration because the people in this administration at the top, Joe Biden and them, are the most corrupt, evil, and satanic, demonic people I've ever seen in that position. Interested in only one thing: power. Maybe two: their party. Party and power, the only thing they really care about. They don't care about anybody in this country because they keep doing things that leave the American citizen there to hold the bag on paying for it. So anyways, that's my thought on this assassination attempt. And that's the news we have today. I can't wait till tomorrow. Now, let's have a little chat real quick about Joe Biden. The rats, meaning people like Barack Obama and other rats like Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and on and on and on, Jeffries, on and on. The rats are all jumping off the Biden re-election ship. I'm sorry. I am enjoying this so much. I am enjoy watching you people know that this man has been nothing but a vegetable in that office for the last 3.5 years and can't comprehend where he is or what he's doing. And you kept telling us on how genius this man is, how smart he is, and how engaged, and how he's so on top of everything. Yeah, we knew you were lying for the last 3.5 years, and now everybody knows you're lying. But you're out there telling everybody that he needs to go. And do what, people? What are you going to do now? What are you going to do now? You people have put yourself into such a bad place and a predicament that no matter who you run is not going to be able to defeat Donald Trump. Unless you did what you did in 2020 and stuffed the ballot boxes in all these states and make sure that he gets Biden got elected. Yes, it's a stolen election. I said it, and I mean it. So, what are you going to do? How are you going to do this? You've got a guy that doesn't even know which direction is up, and then you're going to try to get him to leave the one thing he's wanted to do for the last 20, 30 years is be president of the United States. And he's finally there, and his wife is not going to allow it. She loves being able to tell Joe what to do, what to sign, how to do this, go out there, grab that, and she's the evil one, I think. Dr. Biden. Doctor, please. Can she write a prescription? No, she's not a doctor. Anyways, enjoy what's going to happen over the next several days or week or whatever like that with Joe Biden, because I think it's going to be the most hilarious stuff watching the Democrat Party implode on itself to find someone to run against Donald Trump, who they were hoping would have been assassinated. And regardless of what they say, that's what they really wanted. It was set up to be a turkey shoot there. It was there to be allowed. It was there. Everything that happened on that Saturday happened because that's what the Secret Service allowed to happen under the direction, directly probably, of this Kim Cheadle, because she's best buddies with Jill Biden. Another DEI hire. Boy, you live by DEI, you die by DEI in your party. And I can't wait to see it happen. Anyways, that's my thoughts on this today. And thank you for listening to my rantings and my thoughts on the subject. And I can't wait to get to the next couple days and see what else is going to happen. This has been the Craig L. Hayes Show. I am Craig L. Hayes. Hope you enjoyed the show today. And like always, think, then pass it on.